Travis Wayne Goodsell. Mormons are a peculiar people, and by peculiar we definitely mean strange. A traditional mannerism has emerged in the Utah Mormons especially, but I got caught up in it too as a California Mormon because of my parents, that we tend to look for outside scriptural prophecies to justify the church as the true church, rather than using the scriptures themselves to help justify it. And one of those manners is through the second coming, as Mormons refer to it. With the second coming, it obviously had not happened. I'll give you a spoiler alert. We're in it. It's now. So we're talking before all of this happened. Before all of this happened, Mormons were literally trying to search for other prophecies of Joseph Smith, of other prophets, other members even. There's a 70, I found him as the source, bought his book where the source came from, which he's the source of it. And yet Mormons are thinking, oh yeah, he prophesied of it. And no, he made it up. He wrote it in his book. Did not reference it at all. He just came up with it pulled it out of his hat. And no stones needed. And yet Mormons have obviously read his book to know of it. And this is an old book, by the way. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere around there. So it's my parents' generation of books. He's long since dead. But just a member of the 70 who wrote a book on the second coming and threw in his own mythology. It's buried in the corner. I'm not going to go dig it up. But he's the source for this secret assignment to go to Missouri, to build Missouri, to have the Adam-on-Diamond meeting, etc. And that's part of how it works, is that Mormons know the general concept that we've got to go back to Adam-on-Diamond for this priesthood meeting, but because it hasn't happened, people don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, in what manner it will happen. And so as a result, Mormons, such as this member of the 70, create nonsense, speculation, and all sorts of stuff. And other people believe it and spread it around the church. And similar to the phone call, it can often take different forms as it gets passed from one Mormon to the next Mormon, and so on. And pretty soon you have, oh, I heard it was this way. No, I heard it was this way. Oh, it was going to be this way. You must have a source. Do not just say stuff. And so, there is no secret assignment to go to Missouri. The church has no intention of going to Missouri. They have every intention of staying right here at Temple Square. And so any of these notions that we're going back east, nope, this church ain't gonna let it happen unless they get chased out. But another one for the second coming has to do with missionaries. And I had heard about this myself, that in the last days we will know that Jesus Christ is about to come because missionaries will be called home from their missions. And so guess what happened under this coronavirus? Missionaries get called home from their missions. A true prophetic prophecy of Mormonism. So, to give you the source, Heber C. Kimball, in his general conference talk, no, this was, dude, come on, go to his primary source. I published a book on this, a test is coming, and put the original talk of his in there. This guy is getting it from a conference report of October 1930, page 5859. No, go to the primary source, dude. He's supposed to be a senior member, Martain, on this third hour Forum for Latter-day Saints. So there's no way they'd allow me in. But I'm assuming as I glance over it that it is the same, realizing that it's not the original reporting, but it's copied reporting in the 1930s. Like I said, I wrote the book on it, gave the original source information in that book. I will now read to you his prophecy. After a while, the Gentiles will gather in Salt Lake City by the thousands, and this will be among the wicked cities of the world. A spirit of speculation and extravagance. Speculation is money investing. Will take possession of the saints, and the results will be financial bondage. So, yeah, they'll go into debt. They'll invest and overspend their lifestyle income and go into debt and thus be in financial bondage. An army of elders will be sent to the four quarters of the earth to search out the righteous and warn the wicked of coming events. All kinds of religions will be started and miracles performed that will deceive the very elect, if such a thing were possible. Persecution comes next, and all Latter-day Saints will be tested to the limit. Many will apostatize, and others will stand still, not knowing what to do. Surely Mormons aren't doing that, are they? They're not fulfilling this prophecy, because it's not the true church, right? The judgments of God will be poured out upon the wicked, to the extent that our elders from far and near will be called home. There it is, right there. Or in other words, the gospel will be taken from the Gentiles and later on will be carried to the Jews. Is he prophesying about coronavirus? I thought Mormons said that Nelson prophesied it in the conference in October where he said that April conference for the bicentennial year will be unforgettable. He said it would be unforgettable and we have coronavirus. It's a prophecy. Mormons did that even in this apartment building. Knuckleheads. My ex, the second ex, even fell for it too. And I had to put her in her place. No, he did not prophesy it. Unbelievable, Mormons. Cut it out. The western boundaries of the state of Missouri will be swept so clean of its inhabitants that, as President Young tells us, when we return to that place. What? Utah is the place. This is the right place, right? He's telling us we're going back to Missouri? Joseph Smith says that is even wrong. And yet Heber C. Kimball, despite Joseph Smith telling us it's wrong in 19 July 1840, he's still perpetuating that incorrect thinking. When we of Brigham Young, he's quoting Brigham Young, when we return to that place, there will not be as much as a yellow dog to wag his tail. Before that day comes, however, the saints will be put to the test that will try the very best of them, and it will come from church history being exposed. That Brigham Young lied, and was a racist, and was a murderer, and was a sexist, and was a violator of the word of wisdom, and had brothels. The pressure will become so great that the righteous among us will cry unto the Lord day and night until deliverance comes. Yes, we think we are secure here in the chambers of these everlasting hills, where we can close the doors of the canyons against mobs and persecutors. The wicked and the vile who have always beset us with violence and robbery. But I want to say unto you, my brethren, that the time is coming when we will be mixed up in these now peaceful valleys to the extent that it will be difficult to tell the face of a saint from the face of an enemy against the people of God, because they're going to be one and the same. You have to understand, I was going to mention it at the beginning, Heber C. Kimball, I've caught him in numerous lies. If you want to know the major one that I had found out, because I was doing church history research and had come across some stuff from Heber C. Kimball on his website that was released by his family foundation from his journal. And so whether it's his actual words or whether that's what they want us to believe was in his journal, it doesn't matter. Because under Masonry, it's an all-out lie. And if I'm not going to go into it, I've gone over it before in other videos, but oh my God. I'm sure if you go to the playlist on Real LDS History and find the video with Heber C. Kimball's name in it, I go over that. But, oh dear God. Canandaigua. That's all I need to say to explain it to you. Joseph Smith Sr. was the Master Mason in Canandaigua. And yet, Heber C. Kimball is saying, oh yeah, I went to Canandaigua to apply for the 7th rank after having become the 3rd rank in just 1 year. Oh dear God. I can't believe they think that nobody was ever going to find out about that. And he has another one where he talks about he saw a sign when Joseph got the gold plates. I have a Stellarium program. It wasn't available in his day. There was no such sign. There was a different sign, and I go over that in the book that I published on church history, the real church history. Heber C. Kimball, no, he's a fraud. And so, but Mormons believe this. This is the source for the missionaries coming home, because something was planned, and this isn't a prophecy. Something had been planned, and he knew about this plan that would cause the missionary work to stop and call everybody home. Most of Mormonism believe in Fox News. They believe in Trump. And so, they're going to believe when they're told that we started coronavirus in that China village at the military base science lab. And like I said, I was watching V this morning, and the old TV show back when I was a kid, and oh my God, going back over it, the visitors come, they set up shop at the plants, which was a front, because what they were actually doing was harvesting humans to be put on board so that they can eat them. And so these desalinization plants to take the world's water was just a front. And scientists were saying, hey, wait a minute, something's wrong with these aliens. And they immediately had them silenced and blacklisted and hunted down. What did we do under this coronavirus that called the missionaries home? Oh yeah, we called them fake science. Isn't that interesting? So we're reliving, because V was purposely putting a modern context on World War II Nazi Germany. That's why they had that Holocaust survivor in the show to be the warning voice to everybody. It says, I've seen all this before. This is not good. And everybody's going, oh, come on, Grandpa. I mean, dear God. And so, So there's a background that I'm not fully disclosing in this video. And so, let's see, where did I leave off? Yes, we think we're secure, enemy of God. Then is the time to look out for the great sieve. For there will be a great shifting time. Not sifting time. I think it's supposed to be sifting if it's with sieve. You sift the wheat, not shift it. So I think that's a typing error. And many will fall, but I do remember that being a typing error in the original, not just a conference report. For I say unto you, a test is coming. This church has before it many close places through which it will have to pass before the work of God is crowned with glory. The difficulties will be of such a character that the man or woman who does not possess a personal knowledge or witness will fall. Now, I've gone over this with the corrected Mormonism playlist and put it in others as well, but in regards to the parable of the 10 virgins and testimony, Mormons have misunderstood Moroni chapter 10 verses 3 through 5. They are not comparing it with Alma chapter 32 starting in verse 28. Mormons instead believe, by taking out manifest and by the power of in Moroni, that they just need to read, ponder, and pray. They then get revelation. There's their answer. They're done. work ended. No. Go to Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. What is the revelation that you get? It's the Word. And that's just the beginning. Now the work begins. Faith without works is dead. And Mormons refuse to do the work, saying, I got the Word, I'm done. You do not have a testimony. You do not have knowledge. You do not have a witness. You have the Spirit's witness, but you don't know if it's God's Spirit or some other spirit, because you have not tested it and planted it for yourself to find out if it's good, if it's true. And so Mormons in Mormonism have been deceived by their own prophets. That's why I'm suspect of anything of Heber C. Kimball's, because he's actually revealing how they're going to destroy Mormons and the world. If ye have not got this testimony, you must live? No, that's a typing error in this one. You must live right and call upon the Lord and cease not until you obtain it. This is the oil of the parable of the 10 virgins. Not just the oil in the lamps, but the reserve oil that Mormons are supposed to have. And I'm sorry, but Oaks is wrong. It's not a 50-50 percentage. The 50-50 meant 2 types. There are those who get the testimony, have the reserve, and then there are those who don't. It's not a percentage. The third part of the host of heaven, it wasn't a percentage, 33%. It was 3 different groups. We don't know how many was in each group. Just like the parable of 10 virgins, it's just 2 groups. Those who get the testimony and those who don't. And I just told you how to get it from the Book of Mormon. Remember these sayings. The time will come when no man or woman will be able to endure on borrowed light, other people's word. Because it may not be light, it may be darkness, because they may be lying and deceiving. Each will have to be guided by the light within themselves. If ye do not have the knowledge that Jesus is the Christ, how can ye stand? And I've gone over that, because Joseph Smith goes over that. You are looking for a Mormon to come out of the apostate church, as Joseph Smith refers to it. And he will save the Jews. He will be the Christ. It is not the second coming. It is the first coming. And he's a man, not God. That's who the Jews are looking for. That's who Joseph Smith was. But then he died. He goes over that. And I've gone over that in these videos lately. Because the one Doctrine and Covenants passage says, "Thus I have called Joseph Smith Jr., my servant Joseph Smith Jr., to be this man." And it's a difficult thing if you've led to believe in a second coming of the gospel character called Jesus. And Heber is a big part of that. So, with the news that I saw today, as women call him the silver fox, Elder Uchtdorf, has come out with a video about the new phase of missionary work. And they're sending missionaries back out into the field now. He said that right before the coming of the Lord, let's see, where was it? Now I can't find it. Come on, where was it? See where possible, judgments of God, elders, yeah. The judgments of God will be poured out upon the wicked to the extent that our elders from far and near will be called home. Or in other words, the gospel will be taken from the Gentiles and later on carried to the Jews. Why are you sending missionaries back out to the Gentiles? Don't you believe in the prophecy of Heber C. Kimball? Mormons believe it. This Martain does. And he's got 474 posts. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's applied to this post or what. I don't know how these forum online work. Maybe it's because he's a senior member and he's posted 474 times. I don't see any. It looks like he's got 5 stars for this. It doesn't highlight him, but this was way back in August 6, 2011 in the Scripture Study Forum on this 3rd hour forum. See, this is what Mormons believe in. And so I know all Mormons were like, hey, whoa, missionaries are being called home? I remember something like that. Even Samuel the Lamanite, who's changed his name on YouTube to Brother Guerrero. Why don't you want to be called Samuel the Lamanite anymore? I thought that was kind of clever. Although I did have to call you out on it. And then you just happened to change your title after I called you out on it. But nonetheless, this is what Mormons believe in. And the church is now sending missionaries back out again, as if there is no second coming, that this isn't the fulfillment of the second coming. They are ignoring all the signs in the heavens. I just have been telling you lately, last couple of days, about the one on Father's Day. A total solar eclipse in the old world, in which Jerusalem also is a part of as a partial eclipse. So again, if the church wants to establish themselves as true, it helps to be consistent and correlate. That's why they established the correlation committee. You have to be in harmony. Even when I was on the church service missionary curriculum department working on the revision of the footnotes, we tried to petition to stay on another 2 years after the extra 2 years we were assigned, so that we could go through all the scriptures. Our committee of 4 to go through all the scriptures and harmonize them into one. We were denied, and so there are still many errors. beyond the many errors that were denied as I requested in a number of things for footnotes. And so, yeah, that's crucial. If you're going to come off and present yourself as the true prophet of God, you have to be consistent. You can't say one thing in one text and contrary in another. Doesn't matter. You have to be consistent. So, yeah. Second coming has been canceled. It's that simple.